Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with BLAYNE J, your weekly connection to people, brands, and businesses. Thank you so much for joining me for season two. When I did my last interview in July, I was like, oh, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. But I decided to take a break. But we are back. For everyone that inquired, that called, text to find out what was up with the show, thank you so much for your support. I hear you, I see you, and I really appreciate it. So we are back today with Allyshia Renay. She is the host of Getaway for a Day with Allyshia Renay. And who doesn't want to get away for a day? Who doesn't want to get away, period? But Allyshia has traveled to so many amazing places within New York State. So she's going to come on and talk to us about where we need to be going within New York, some places that she's done internationally, and how we can make it happen. Because no one ever talks about how they make travel happen. It's always just like, I'm here, I'm there, but it costs money, right? So Allyshia is about to come on and share all of her tips and tricks and places to go. And here's Allyshia.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
how are you?
Good, good. I'm so glad that you can be here. So I always like to start off with how I know the person. So last year, sometime, Allyshia and I were on a webinar for like New York City small businesses, and they asked everybody to put their contact information in the chat. So I thought her brand and business was awesome. So I started following her. We built a rapport with each other, and she was one of the very first people like. I don't slide into DMs like that, but I slid into her DM because I was just like, I don't know how else to get in touch with her. I don't think I had your email, but I knew your Instagram. And she just has such an awesome show and just great things that she's doing. So thank you for finally being able to be here.
Thank you for having me, darling. Oh, sorry, the southern comes out when I get ready.
So we're going to get right into that because Allyshia has become a New York expert on where to go, but she's actually from Alabama. So I want to talk about how did you get into becoming the go-to person for places to go within New York State coming from Alabama?
Okay, I'll take that, the go-to person. Long story short, I worked in the sports industry. Well, I started out as a plus model here in New York. My background is very varied. And my goal was always to work in the sports industry, but then I had an injury that caused me to have a seat. I couldn't, do sports anymore, game day operations. And I got really sad, and one of my friends, who is actually my consulting producer, Erica Wortham, she works for ABC, and this is going to sound terrible. I called everybody that I knew one day to go to the Jazz Age lawn party with me, which is something you should know about. You got to
Mm-hmm, I've been there. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And she answered. And I was like, look, just go, let's go. And I was talking about how sad I was. She was like, you could take a class at one of the local universities. Each borough has its own public access channel. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went to BronxNet at Lehman College. I took the course, and I was going to do a cooking show because I wanted to do a cooking show,
That sounds good.
show off my skills
Mm-hmm.
for my great grandmother and my mom. And I couldn't find a kitchen. It's ridiculous to try to find a kitchen in New York. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so I said, let me do my day trips. And the day trips came about. I was just online, and I discovered the Metro North because I'd never really ridden the Metro North. And that's how it all started. And I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, they have all these trips. And then if you go to the machine, a lot of people miss this. They have the daily ticket machine, and I think they have a green machine, but there's a blue machine. If you look very closely, it'll say Hudson Valley Beyond Trips and everything. And if you click that button, it just opens up a whole new world that includes admission to a lot of locales and the train ticket, and sometimes the bus ride to everything.
So for people who are not from New York and they're like, what the heck is Metro North? So Metro North is like, it's almost like an Amtrak system, but it takes you from New York up to Connecticut. I know I've taken it to Connecticut, right?
Well, it's different ones. It's also the LIRR. Let's not forget the Long
Mm-hmm.
Island Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
But the Metro North starts at Grand Central, and it breaks off. I think it's three train lines. You have the Hudson Valley line, which is gorgeous, beautiful. The Harlem line, and oh God, don't kill me. There's one more I can't think of. I'm just seeing the map, and I know there are
Mm-hmm.
three lines, but the main one that I ride is mostly the Hudson.
So basically, what Allyshia is saying is if you get on these trains, depending on what zone you're going to, because they kind of break it into zones. Like if you're leaving from New York and you want to go further up into New York, maybe your ticket is like $10 to go further up into New York, or maybe your ticket's 25 or less or something to leave the city and go somewhere further up to explore, right?
Right, and specifically, I mentioned the Hudson a couple of times because there are a lot of towns that are right on the Hudson River, and if you get off the train, there are these nice little parks. Like my favorite is Peekskill. Oh my God, it's
Mm.
so beautiful. And then on one side you have the little restaurants and ice cream shops, and then the other side they have like a playground for the kids, and there's a boat. You can take a boat ride that goes up the Hudson through the mountains under the bridge, and you can see what's that West Point. And it looks
Mm.
like Hogwarts is coming on the horizon. I'm like, what? It's
we're,
exciting.
we're all ready to go. Everybody who's not from New York is like, we're
and
going.
and then look, I know this is cheesy, but that boat actually does wine tastings sometimes on the boat.
There's nothing cheesy about that. That sounds real good. I need cheese with the wine, so it's not cheesy at all. I mean, that sounds really good.
Oh no, I meant me doing this. Like,
No, that's not cheesy, but you
okay,
said cheese and wine, and that's where my head is. So yeah,
yeah.
on a boat sounds amazing.
So a lot of these trips, the reason I came up with Getaway for a day, on a serious note, um, even before the pandemic, you can look around and you can see the stress on people's faces in the city. You get up, and I don't have children, but imagine you get up, get the kids ready, you're rushing them off to school, you're rushing to work, you're doing your job, you have to stay late, get home, cook, get them ready, get the homework, and it's like on and on and on. And then the weekends, you squeeze in what you can get done, and the next thing you know, a month has passed. And I commend anyone that's able to travel to long distances, at the drop of a dime, but it's just not the reality for a lot of people. And sometimes you just need that one day to recalibrate, because it's like a powder keg, and and the city is great. There are a lot of things I do in the city with my NYC ID card. Oh yes, I have one of those too. But sometimes you just need a little space, and
Hmm.
you never know what's out there. Being from Alabama, if you see my show, the premises at the beginning, there was only a certain type of New York that was marketed to me. Um, let's see, whatever was going on in Sex in the City, or when I
Hmm.
was a little girl, Theo going down to the village. I just remember that, and I was like, "Oh, I want to go to the village," and things like that. And I didn't really learn about the other boroughs until I watched shows like Living Single, because they were in
Hmm.
Brooklyn.
Hmm.
I wanted to go to Brooklyn because of Queen Latifah and her crew. Seinfeld, the crazy guy's dad lived out in Queens. King of Queens, the
The
one with the
king,
glasses.
the king of
George,
Queens.
I think. George, I think, the short one. Well, his parents lived out in Queens, so
Oh,
that's
in
how.
Seinfeld.
Yeah,
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. That's how
Right,
I
George
learned about the
Costanza. Uh-huh.
boroughs, because of those shows. But primarily, everything was like Manhattan, Manhattan. And when you get here, I can name five things that I've done in different climates just by the train. I've gone skiing. I'll never do it again, but I did. I went skiing. You can go to a vineyard. I've been to a castle. You can go to the
Hmm.
beach, and then you can go apple picking. And those are five distinct things that are very different
Hmm.
that I got to by riding the train. So, and this is,
All in New York.
yeah, I haven't
Hmm.
been any other place. They have the transportation, but to do all of those different things without taking half the day to get there, it would be very hard to duplicate that anywhere else in the US. So
Hmm.
I felt like it's an easy thing to do.
And how do you find places? Because I think what you said is right. When most of us think of New York, we think about New York City. We're thinking Times Square, maybe Lower Manhattan, like you said, very Sex in the City, different stuff. How do you find the places to go? Do you kind of just set your mind to like, today I want to go apple picking, so let me look at that. Today I want to see a castle, or do you just, kind of look at the map and you're like, hey, I've never been to that area?
It's akin to what you just said. To be honest, I think about how I want to feel.
Mm.
If you look at my Instagram page, you see I like to dress up. If I want to feel, my favorite word is whimsical. I
Hmm.
like to, when you're going through your day-to-day routine, when you step away, you want to feel like you're in a completely different world. So if I want to feel whimsical, I Google castles in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And if I save a little money to the side, I say, oh, let me go out here to Ohika. I'll take it. I have one friend that we kind of moved here within a month of each other, and she was always busy going to brunch and stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and she doesn't mind me telling this story. And she's like, okay, let's go here, because she works in the medical field, and you can imagine the stress she was under.
Mm-hmm.
And all these different places. Now she's taken people there since I've taken her there, like Ohika Castle out in Long Island. It's like baby Versailles,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do the tour. The rooms are a little pricey. Well, I don't think they're pricey in comparison to New York prices,
Mm-hmm.
but it's worth it. And you can just go out there for lunch if you want to. Um, this season, I have some amazing hotels coming up. And no, B&Bs and inns.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, I did Millbrook, and I'm sorry, Wings Castle in Millbrook,
Mm-hmm.
which is a castle that was built over a 40-year period by a husband and wife team. And it overlooks the Catskills, and there's a vineyard that you can walk to from the castle. I did and correct me if I'm wrong, there are only two standalone black owned bed and breakfast in New York State. The rest of them may be connected, but these are standalone. Aquaba Inn in Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and Arborview House, way out there in Long Island. But the good thing about that, you just sit on the jitney and it literally drops you off right in front of the house. You don't have to do anything. Just get on the bus and sit.
Mm-hmm.
And it is absolutely beautiful. They call it Arborview. All the different trees, I mean, they just meld together, and it's so beautiful. There's
Mm-hmm.
a beach down the street. North Fork, East Marion is where it is, but it's so cute out there. But they do recommend you rent a car when you get out there. But for me, it was just a place to relax, so I didn't get a rental car. Um,
It
and then,
doesn't sound like you need to, because it sounds like, first of all, they sound super far out, and when you're there, you're there. So
right.
it's like you're there. Where else are you gonna go?
They
But
have a cute little. They do have now. I will say they do have a cute little community out
mm-hmm.
there. It's adorable, and it's a walking village, a little downtown area, so to speak. But it's definitely a place to relax. And ooh, the breakfast at all of these places. Wings gives you nice little croissants and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Guava, oh my God, her French toast, and then the couple out in East Marion, they're Caribbean. Whew. So her food was just like, how some places you have to put seasonings on it. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm. It didn't
Every
need
bite was
anything.
delicious. So that was great. And then the last two that I did, oh, the Roxbury. If you have not heard of the Roxbury, every room is themed. And when I say every room is themed.
Mm.
Charlie's Angels, The Wizard of Oz, the Ice Queen, and then
And
like
where is this?
this is in Roxbury. Now you do have to drive there, but it is worth it. They have two locations, and this place, it is like your childhood dream come to life. I
Mm.
kid you not. They have Dracula's fangs. They have these row of cottages that are upstairs, downstairs, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. Some of them are. One of them's real sexy. It's like the Pendragon Suite. Like King Arthur.
Nice.
But there's one called the Fairy. It's about fairies. I can't remember the name, but it is booked almost all of 2022.
Oh wow. So it's like
Yeah,
super popular.
it's very popular, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also a place that as an adult, some people. It's nice that people are starting to be who they are, and I will admit sometimes it's like, oh gosh, should I dress up? I'm like 40 years old. Is it okay to dress up and
Yes,
put
it
on my
is. It's
wingback?
fine.
But that place, be free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you see this episode, you're gonna go. They have the largest dress I've ever seen of Cinderella over a bed. Like it's crazy.
I
It's
think we need to drop that place in the chat, Rodney, because that
it's
sounds
like listen to
amazing.
me. And they have this waterfall. It's a waterfall right by their yacht. And they have spas, and the owners just they have. I know I like to squeal. If you watch my
Mm-hmm.
show, guys, just know in advance I squeal a lot because of this stuff. but they are so sweet. Like everybody was so sweet, and listening
Hmm.
to their stories, the way they had to cope with the pandemic and how they came back, and they were just so, you could tell they were really into what they do
Hmm.
because their hearts were in it. Like they want to provide a service and a place for people to relax. And that brings me to the last one. I'll have 5 episodes. The Abbey Inn and Spa, baby. You know, I had to get country on you. You remember those shows from back in the day, Dynasty, and you want to
Hmm.
put on your nice little cape? That's where you wear that.
Nice.
It overlooks the Hudson and it's in Peekskill. It's like a 7 minute Uber ride from the train station, and it is luxurious. Do you hear me? I mean, and there's a trail you can walk. The food, and then they have free cookies and coffee all day. And I know, and then they give you snacks for free because a lot of places you have to do the vending machine. You get snacks
Oh
for
no, that's even better. We have a comment. Please drop the info, especially the place with the good Caribbean food.
yes. Oh, and
So
that place, they bring the coffee upstairs to you on the landing and will knock on your door, and then they walk away.
that's good service.
Yes, yes.
And that's
I mean,
fine.
it's so nice, and you can tell that they really take the time to put together every little detail.
Hmm.
And I thought I was gonna get not kicked out of Aquaba, but like there are certain things in certain all the places that I just love, and in Aquaba's dining room, I could not leave out of there. Luckily, there were no
Mm.
other people there, but it just
Hmm.
gave me that old school feel because it's a huge. It kind of looks like a brownstone inside,
Hmm.
but there's
Yeah.
a huge room with a nice piano and the grand stairs. But the way she decorated it, it just felt so. You just wanted to get a book and curl up, and these
Hmm.
places are romantic, guys. Now that
Or they
ooh,
could be
I'm sorry.
romantic, they could be girls getaway. It sounds like it's a lot of diversity. And I want to talk about have mentioned your show. You have a new season coming, Getaway for a Day with Allyshia Renay. And we're
Yes.
talking about some of the places that you went to. But as we watch the show, kind of take us through like what a typical show would be. Because I know you said you do a lot of squealing, but I don't blame you because, when you see stuff, you see stuff, you can't hold it in. But take us through what a typical show is. You kind of introduce us to a new place. You took us through the food. Now we're all ready to eat. We're all ready to go on Metro North and Long Island Railroad and go someplace after this. But take us a little bit through what a typical show is so that we get an idea of it so everybody's ready to tune into the new season.
So what I like to do when I'm so sorry, I'm like sinuses and everything messing up.
Mm.
So what I like to do whenever I do a show, I want people to be able to come right behind me and duplicate what I do because people don't have time, and because New York, not just the city, but it's so much to do here. It's not that people are lazy, it's just that sometimes they don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And I show them exactly what to do, even sometimes going up to the machine, showing them which machine to pick to, get your tickets, the best seats to sit in if you're riding the train, which even sometimes which way to sit if you're going up certain lines so you can get the best view, things of that nature. I always make sure I talk to the owners or whoever's running the show at the locations. I want people to, because it's public access, I can't do a call to action and say, hey guys, you go and do this. I show you what I do, and I try to make sure most of the trips, I'm trying to think outside of the B&Bs now because, they are not like $50. But just about everything I've done was probably $50 or less, if $50.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
The very first Farm Fresh tour that I did, I think the tickets were like $40, and that included round trip on the Metro North, a bus to all the locations, and and back, and you didn't have to do anything but just sit and ride and bring your
Mm.
little suitcase. I like to be, those Saturday morning shows when they say you see the educational, informational at the bottom. That's what I like to be. To show people that you can have a good time, show them where to go to eat, where to relax. Um, and if you see me, I'm not a small woman. I'm 5'8", 5'9". So if I go somewhere, you can go because there's a lot of questions, and rightfully so. Is it okay for Black people? Can we go there?
Mm-hmm.
I research all the places, and I just show caution when I go anywhere, but I also look to see what, checking things out, make
What
sure
the
I'm
deal
okay.
is, yeah.
Right, and I tell you, if the bed was comfortable, I'll tell you that in this upcoming season. And each place I go, I like to describe the ambiance. So you'll know, like, if you're going here, wear your shoes, hiking shoes, or don't wear this, don't bring that. Just to give people an idea of how they would feel if they go to a certain place. Um, and that's pretty much like, even like my earlier shows, the Museum of the Moving Image. I am so shocked at how many people don't know about that museum, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so nice. And the crazy thing is, it's so intimate that some of the stars and directors, producers of movies actually come and you can talk to them.
Oh,
It's not
wow.
like, yeah, it's not like this huge thing. And it's just a really great museum to, if you become a member, you can see early viewings to movies, things of that nature. It's just, I'm just trying to think of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
even the
But we don't want to give too much away because we want
oh,
people to
okay,
watch the show. We
yes,
want
ma'am.
it. No, 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 you're good. But we want to give people enough that they're like, "Ooh, I wanna watch," because what you said is stuff that I would look for, like in some type of Google review. If anybody said something about the room, the atmosphere, the place, you're giving, like, almost like a one-on-one feeling with your show because it's you. You're talking directly to the camera and you're answering like all these questions that most of us have to Google, and a lot of times we have to filter through those reviews because some of them are okay. And then some of them I'm like, that sounds like that was just a you experience. It doesn't sound like something anyone else would experience. So it sounds like, you give a very detailed, but very almost like we're coming on vacation with you. We're taking this day away
Yes.
with you for the day. And I think that is what makes it so great. That's what makes the show so personable. Now,
Exactly.
outside, there's a whole world outside of New York. I feel like when you're from New York, it's like there's nothing better, right? There's nothing better than when you live in New York. You're like, no other state can touch this. But there's a lot of other great places outside of New York. So tell us, what is one of the places that you love to travel to outside of New York and even outside of the country?
Well, funny enough, before I moved here, I was all over the place because when you work in the sports industry, you end up going to different states for tournaments or whatnot. And before I moved here, to get the money to move here, I did a bra tour. So way back in 2005, they were all doing bra tours for women. I mean, bra fittings was all the rage. So I, again, randomly, it was this random website that they were looking for a plus size stylist. I went on, I got the job. They booked me over the phone and flew
Mm.
me to Connecticut to do it. And they put two women in SUVs and sent us all across the country. So I got to drive a
In a
Explorer,
bra. They
Expedition,
sent you all.
and well, I my partner would take people. I was like, listen, I'm measuring you out here. Mm. But it was so wonderful to see places like New Hampshire. I would love to go back. They have a candy store called Chutters. It has the world's longest candy counter. Um,
Mm.
Arkansas, Hot Springs, Arkansas. Never heard of it, and I was like, this place is adorable. It was so cute. I like little small towns. That's my thing. I love
Mm-hmm.
small towns, and I love independently owned stores because you can go in and get the care packages, and it's made by the locals. Um, Internationally, I haven't been as many places. A lot of people are like, oh, 36 countries. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
number seven.
There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm.
But I do have a soft spot for Old Quebec,
Mm-hmm.
up the street. I love
Mm-hmm.
it. It's so cute. It's so adorable. And I do have an episode when I went to Montreal and um, Old Quebec. But to date, Japan,
Mm-hmm.
Lord have mercy. Um, Ooh, the food. Let me tell y'all something. I didn't feel any aches and pains from the food I ate. I lost weight, y'all. I've been trying to get my sexy back. I I mean, it was so hard not to eat everything because those commercials back in the day with the biscuits would come off the plate.
Right.
I swear that's what their brand was like. I'm like, oh, this is good. And by day 8, I swear I put on a dress. I'm like, why is this so loose? And I'm like, oh,
Mm.
but it was beautiful. And I worked for a Japanese company for 5 years, so I understand the culture. But it was just such a beautiful place. and it was clean. Tokyo was
Mm.
impeccable. I
Mhm.
got laughed at because I was literally looking for any trash on the street. So
Mhm.
and I actually like every place I've been. I've been to Paris, Italy, Positano. I can't believe that place is on this earth. And I would love to go
Mm.
back and spend maybe 2 weeks on doing the whole Amalfi Coast. But
Mhm.
um, that place, just the thought, just the fact that it just goes up and up to the clouds, it was just absolutely beautiful. And my goal, I don't know, I have an obsession with castles.
Mhm.
And I would love to do a castle season and just go and visit all types. There's even a castle in Alabama. I would love to go and interview them and see how they came about. So anything I do, it has to be. I like for it to be off the beaten path, and I try to make a conscious effort to ride the bus whenever I go to a city. If they have the bus available, that's a good way to see the city without having to stop and watch a bag and do all of this. I did it in London years ago. Fell asleep. That was a mistake. I was on the double decker in the front, and next thing I know, I'm at the end. Thank God.
Wow.
Thank God. But that's the best way to me to see any city. Get on the bus and ride it, and that way you can look around. If you want to get off, hop off, get back on. But that's just a rule that I try
That's
to
a really
follow.
good tip, actually. That's something I never think to do is to ride the bus
I wish,
um, in
I
a
wish,
city. That's good.
I wish more people do it here. Lord knows New York thrives off tourism, but step to the side, step to the side. It's just stepping in the middle, like, oh, look. I'm like, please move to the side. So that's
Yes.
why I like to ride the bus, because that way I don't have to worry about what's that. I can look and see, make a note, or hop off and walk back. So yeah.
Now let people know where they can find your show because I'm like ready to go somewhere right this minute based off of everything you said. I'm like I want to go to a castle. That sounds amazing. I want to go to a winery. So let people know where they can find your show so that we can you can take us on these trips with you virtually.
Okay, so my show, it airs on public access TV first. It airs on 3 stations: Brick in Brooklyn. Well, it's called Brooklyn Free Speech, and then it airs and then on Manhattan Neighborhood Network and BronxNet. So the schedule, and you can check my Instagram. I'll let you guys know everything because you won't remember. In Brooklyn, it airs the second and fourth Tuesday and Thursday, twice a day. They like
That's too. We ain't gonna remember that. I'm
I
gonna.
know.
You're
And
like
that's a
every
good
half
part.
hour when it's a leap year on a Friday is my show.
Yeah.
Um, what about? I'm gonna have to put that all on Instagram
Yes.
so that
Yes.
people know because a lot of people watching may not be in New York, so this is foreign to them. They're like, "Brick, what are you talking about?" But you don't have to be in New York to watch her show because you're also on YouTube.
And it live streams. So whenever it airs on any of these stations, you can live stream it. But what I do after it airs on each station, I house it on YouTube. So you can also go there. And I like to mention one thing for people who visit here. A lot of people, it may be their only trip for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And another reason I created this show, a good friend from back home, her and her husband came up, and she's a pharmacist. She's really into gore and all that stuff. I'm like, let's go to Tarrytown to see the haunted house because they have one of the best with the headless horseman and
Ooh,
everything. They're
that
not
sounds
having
like fun.
they're not having it this year. I'm sorry, but they are having
Oh,
the
that sounds like
pumpkin
fun.
blaze and the reenactment of Ichabod Crane if you want to go. So
Okay, because I like a good horror like show, movie show in person, whatever. I like that. So yeah.
yeah. So we went up on the Metro North, and somebody that's on this call right now didn't have access to Uber yet. And so we walked back to the train station. She was upset, and the husband, he's all cool. And when we get
Hmm.
back to the station, he didn't say anything the whole walk. He was just like, okay. And he said, Alicia, you know what? When we come back, we can stay in Tarrytown and just ride the train into the city. It's those things that people, they don't know when they visit that there are other towns that they can stay in and then come into the city if they
Hmm.
want, if they so choose. So
Hmm.
that was a good thing. I like to say that people can visit and stretch out their vacations because you might have a family of 3 or 4 and you say, okay, let's just go to New York. We can't afford to go to Napa but they don't know that they can catch the train and go out to Long Island to the vineyards or up to take the line.
Ava.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Everybody in trouble.
That was like
Run, Ava.
I muted. I tried to mute myself. I hope I muted myself.
Ava, it's not worth it, girl.
Did you all hear me? Did you? I put myself on mute.
I heard you. Run, Ava.
I'm so sorry. I like muted my computer because I'm like nobody will hear this. Wait, it can't change. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for everybody watching. It's just one of those moments. I was like, I hear some stuff upstairs, and I'm just like, girl. You're like, Ava, don't come, don't go. No, I want to thank you. We're gonna wrap it up, because I have to see what's happening. But I want you to let people know where they can find you. Your Instagram, I'm going to put all of it on my Instagram as well. But let people know, if they can't wait until then and they want to talk and interact with you tonight, where they can find you.
Yeah, Instagram.com, .com, at Allyshia Renay. You can feel free to DM me. Right, Ron?
I'm so sorry. I thought I put myself on mute.
I'm here to answer them. My show is on YouTube. Just type in Getaway for a Day with Allyshia Renay. You can find it there. And I'll always post updates, and I try to keep updates of where I'm going and what you can do. And I'm here to answer any questions that I can. And my new season premieres next week, so stay tuned.
And for everybody that's going to be listening to this on podcast, Allyshia is ALLYSHIA, Allyshia Renay, RENAY, Allyshia. So at Allyshia Renay is her handle on social media. If you want to see pictures of some of the places she went, if you want to connect directly with her, if you want to plan a trip, big shout out to my friend Diana Hilaire, who's been on the show before. She's the founder of When She Comes Home, because she's like, let's go, Blaine. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, let's go, girl. Let's go find one of these places. Excuse me, and go do it. So
partnerships too now.
Yes. So, and before we go, if you want to give any thank you, shout outs, recognitions to anybody while we're on here.
I do. And behind me, you can see I won a Telly Award in 2020 for an episode on Chuangyan Monastery, which you can get to by train and Uber as well. The largest Buddha in the Western Hemisphere. You wouldn't even think you're in New York. I'd like to thank the students, a couple of students at BronxNet who helped me with it, but I want to give a shout out to Indio Ramkishan. He is my mentor. Thank you so much. He has been so kind to me and stepping in and helping me out. This man is busy, but he believed in my dream. I want to thank Erica Wortham. She works for ABC, but she is my consulting producer, and she always makes time to talk to me and help to guide me on things. And her sister, Kim Wortham, who gives me some advice on, certain things that I'm trying to put together. And a new acquaintance, Sheila, she knows who she is, and she's working with me on some things. And just anyone who's been helpful and has given a kind word. And if I can help anyone, just relax. Like I said, just for a day, we all need that right now. And my hope, not to sound cheesy again, but I hope that everyone is just a little bit kinder to each other. It's been a rough couple of years, so if we can just exhibit a little bit more kindness, that'd be great. So thank you to everybody who supported me and my friends back home in Alabama. Kim, I know it sounds like I'm getting an award, but Kim, my friends are the best, and they have always been so supportive since college, and I love them dearly.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I saw a bag. I wish I remembered exactly what it said, but it said something like girlfriends or sisterhood is a form of therapy. I think that's what it said. Or sisterhood is a form of self-care. Something like that.
Yes. So, yes. And my friend Yvonne here in New York, who pushed me to go after one business adventure, which may work out to my advantage. So that's it. I'm done, y'all. I'm done.
No, give all the shout outs. I want to give a big thank you to you, because I know that we have been in contact for months now, and it has taken a while for us to sit down and share this, but I was so determined. I'm like, no, we're going to talk. I want people to know all about this. So thank you so much for making the time for us to talk today. I really appreciate you, and I can't wait to talk to you more later. And thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for all of the support that you have been giving me. Like I said, most of you know, like I just kind of started these lives on a whim in December because there were people like Allyshia who I saw that were just doing amazing, awesome things, and I just wanted to find a platform to share their stories so that other people are hopefully inspired. They learn something new from this. They get to connect with each other. So thank you to everybody for your support, and big shout out to Rodney, the creator of Realish Radio, who does all the behind the scenes production and talkbacks with us before and after. And I already shouted her, but I'm going to do one more because you talked about friends. Big shout out to Diana Hilaire, founder of When She Comes Home, who's my childhood friend. I could not do this mom life without her, and she knows that. So even me yelling for my daughter, I'm sorry everybody had to hear that, but she understands us. Everything we do, we wind up having the kids with us. So when she's like, let's go, Blaine, I'm like, let's drop these kids off. Let's get away for a day with Allyshia Renay and make this happen without these kids.
Listen, you and I are hanging out, okay?
We are. Mm-hmm. Yes, and we're going to plan something, and Diana and I are going to plan to go somewhere too. So I'm going to ask you just to hold on really quick while Rodney ends the show. And everyone else, I will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Hi, it's your girl Christian from the Transparency Place podcast on the Real Issue Radio Network. I'm actually life coach Christian on the Transparency podcast, promoting self-awareness, self-wholeness, love, enrichment, and success in this life journey. Catch me live for season 2 every Sunday, 8 p.m. via the Real Ish Radio app, YouTube, and Facebook. There is so much to learn from our guests as they are transparent with us in this season. Hope to see you in the live chat.
Said the struggle to get mine. Hustle from the bottom, the customer don't lie. 365 is in days and I'm gon' shine. That's until I die, so whenever I shine. You found me kind of better.
I started from the bottom.